This is Urasawa Boys, a podcast where we read and discuss the works of manga artist and author Naoki Urasawa. Right now, we're reading Monster, and Monster deals with a lot of dark and troubling topics and themes, so a list of content warnings is going to be available in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Hello, welcome back to Urasawa Boys. Come in. We made some soup. We made some great soup. I'm Quinn.
I'm Matt Fennell. What kind of soup do you like? Hang on, now that we're doing the soup bit, what's your favorite kind of soup?
Since we're
in the middle of the summer.
Are we including? Well, actually, you know what? It's funny we bring this up because just before we started recording, I quickly ate a bowl of ramen. Steaming hot and drank all the broth steaming hot, and so I actually got sweaty because you know how it is when you drink ramen broth really quickly and you get sweaty.
Yeah, I think ramen counts as soup. That's a good one.
Well, ramen's a soup for sure. But what's my absolute favorite soup? Now, are we including stews or is this just soups?
I would say yeah. Let's include stews. Why not?
Okay, if we're including stews, then a beef stew. If we're going for just soups, however, I am really partial to a well-made French onion.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, that's a good pull. I'm a simple boy. I think potato soup is like my favorite. A good potato soup.
Potato soup does kill.
Yeah.
Or like a corn chowder.
Yes, I do like a corn chowder a lot.
My God.
Yeah, we'd get those soup mixes from the grocery store every once in a while. That was like the bag of all that dried stuff, and there's all that corn just in there, and all the other good stuff down at the bottom. Have you ever done one of those? That feels like a very mid-2000s grocery store item for some reason. Well, just because that's when I was a kid, and that's when we were eating.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I was always just a regular canned soup kind of boy, and I was raised on ramen. That's for sure. We used to have like this green plastic bowl, and at the time I didn't know that it wasn't a good idea to put hot water in plastic, so that was my ramen bowl.
Yeah. I went to the Asian market not too long ago, and I got a big thing of kimchi and a big thing of miso for some cooking that I've been doing with my farm box vegetables. And they had a huge ramen corner. And I was like overwhelmed by the amount of choices. So many brands I hadn't seen before. It all looked very good, so I ended up buying none of it because that's how I function when presented with a lot of choices. Is I completely shut down.
I went to a really good ramen restaurant on the Lower East Side a couple of weeks ago with a friend. And it was like this like slow roasted pork broth that had like all this gelatin, in it. It was super thick. Yeah. And it was one of the few times, like, I go to a place and I can't finish the food. There was so much fucking ramen in that bowl. It was crazy. Jeez. It was pretty good.
Maybe I want ramen for dinner. That does sound very good.
Hey, maybe you do. And, listener, maybe you do too. Maybe you're getting a little hungry.
Join the ramen club. This
has, in case anybody's wondering, absolutely nothing to do with today's reading.
No, but people like it when we do little bits, like when we talked about me getting a patty melt or some of those other ones that we've done. You get your chicken sandwich adventure, the drinking vinegar. Like these are what people tune in for.
It's I'm a culinary guy,
Yeah.
I just like the food stuffs.
We have to have food minute, I think, before the episodes now is what
Definitely,
this is revealing.
Totally. Well, yeah. Ooh, interesting. We'll see.
We can't make it an official segment because then it loses the magic. But
right. But when it's time for the food corner, it's definitely time.
Mm-hmm.
This week, we are reading chapters 87 through 95?
95, I think, yeah.
Yeah, 87 through 95, which comprises the first half of Perfect Edition Volume 6 and the entirety of Regular Edition Volume 11.
What are we going to do when we get to a Urasawa work that, like, the American releases map up with the regular tankobons? It's just going to make life so much easier.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit. I mean, really, we do not have to mention.
Yeah, because we don't have any Japanese reader listeners.
I hope we do. I think that would be fun.
That would be cool. I would like that a lot.
Although
but I don't
one
think
expects
we
they
do.
probably have their own Urasawa boys that started 10 years ago. I don't know
Wow.
how podcasting is over there. I
Now
don't
I
know
gotta
much
know.
about
Yeah.
the Japanese podcasting culture. I mean, if they have a TTRPG culture, one expects, but you never know what's going on. Although it is interesting we bring it up because later in this reading there is an interesting thing to bring up vis-a-vis the perfect editions and the tankobons. So
Okay, yeah, because I had a question about this because
yeah.
so I have bookmarked on my home computer the list of chapters of Monster because I use that when I'm writing the
Oh,
descriptions and
interesting.
stuff
Is
like
there
that.
another discrepancy there? All right. Well, pin in
Yeah,
that.
we can talk about it because it might come up.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Okay. Um in the meantime, otherwise, hey, friends. It's June. Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride, everyone.
And that's relevant to today's episode.
Yep, I was gonna say we should probably do like a double content warning.
Yeah. Mm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be in the show notes, but of course, if you've been not reading the show notes, then just so you know, there is a pretty good spoiler here for transphobia in this reading, and we'll get to the details of it here in this first chapter.
Again, I just want to
Yeah.
very briefly pause to say how bad the initial content warnings were. Like, because I ripped those from, it was like some website that just has content warnings for anime, right? So, because I
Was
just
the dog
Googled,
die or was it?
no, it was something different. I'll find what it
Does
was.
the Inu Shinu?
Well, because like if it's user supported, I'm going to go in and update them.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Sure.
yeah, I think it was just like a Tumblr where someone was just posting like anime content warnings. They were so severely lacking. Like I've had to go in and edit these a couple times, like on our
Yeah.
episode description. So I mean, because like the first thing that it was completely missing was Nazism, and now, like Quinn said, some pretty severe transphobia in
It's
this
not
reading.
pleasant. Yeah. So to me, keep yourself safe. I think probably we'll have in the show notes we'll just have little timestamps for that conversation. I
Yeah.
think, or at least the core of that conversation, so that if you don't want to deal with that while listening to your Fun Times Media Analysis podcast, you don't gotta
You can just click skip.
skip. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I can figure out how to do chapters. Like, because I know that's a thing you
Oh,
can do in
man, that
podcasts.
sounds like a lot of work. But as long as you're doing
I
it,
will try to do it. Yeah, I mean, because if you're gonna do the edit on this one mostly, so I
yes.
might be able to do that. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Do we have any overall thoughts on this reading before we jump in? I think this one's good. I think this is a really fun one.
I think I liked last week's reading better. I don't have. Well, I mean, I was about to say I don't have as many notes, but I mean, I have 5 pages of notes like I always do. So,
I think I have
I don't
more
know.
notes for this reading. I think I like this reading better than last week's.
Okay,
To
maybe
some degree.
yeah. I would say this is I don't know. I think there's some chapters that have a lot to talk about, but then there's other chapters where it's just
Yeah.
like I don't know. That's just kind of very standard. There's
Yeah.
plot happening.
There's definitely some chapters here that feel like they're we talk about like setup chapters and payoff
Yes.
chapters, right? And the thing is that setup is easier to analyze than payoff because the point of analyzing the setup is to go, you're kind of gambling. You're going,
What's gonna happen?
well, what's the payoff going to be? What do we think this is setting up? What do we think this is doing? And while payoffs can play into themes, they can do important stuff. A lot of times, it's just they're more interesting to experience than they are to discuss. So we'll be able to put that to the test here.
Yeah,
But
I think
thought,
this one closes on a banger for sure. Like that last
yeah,
chapter is
totally.
an all timer. There's good action stuff in here. I mean, last time I said,
there's a chapter in here that has some of the best action we've seen yet.
yep,
Like
it's
big
really
time.
good.
Can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
last time I said, I hope we get more Detective Sook, air groomer stuff.
I really like what happens with Suka in this reading.
Yeah,
I think we can kind of see his purpose a little bit more clearly here, and that's really exciting. Okay, I think that's enough.
Yeah, we can dig into it.
preamble. Yeah. Okay. The reading begins with chapter 87, titled Double Darkness.
One of the best chapter titles so far. It is so goofy. I love it so much.
It opens with Tenma speaking to an old fellow about the three frogs. And he says that It's a sign for a very old inn that used to exist, but more recently, a woman and her one beautiful child lived there until she and her kid were taken away, possibly for anti-government activities. We cut to Jan and Anna Nina question mark at the bar, and Jan is just absolutely spilling his guts, and he says that somehow he feels like he can tell her anything. We learn a little bit about Jan, and we also, Anna/Nina tells him not to tell anyone about the safe deposit box or the keys to it, because she's worried about him. She returns home, takes off her wig, washes off her makeup. It's Johan!
Womp, womp, womp.
So, Ty got it. He got it really good, and
yeah, Tyler hit the nail on the head for that one. I'm gonna just drop the clip in here right now because it's so funny.
I have a theory, and I do not know if it is an accurate theory. I do not think this is Nina. I think this is Johan. I kind of hope that's not the case, because then that would kind of feed into, like, some, like, trans panic attitudes of, like, oh, you know, the person posing as a woman who's, like, secretly a serial killer. But,
like, listening back to that, because I kept reading after we recorded that Sunday, and, like, 30 minutes after he said that, I was like, fuck, he was right.
He was super right. And, okay, so let's... Before we talk about the story or anything, because it just feels better to talk about it...
We should do this at the top.
At the top, so that it's not, like, in the middle of everything else. Okay, so, what happens here is that Johan has been taking Nina's... not taking Nina's place, but pretending to be Nina, or as he knows her, Anna, in order to... I don't know, do crimes, get close to Jan Suk. Like, what is... I don't...
It's
At this
very
point,
unclear.
The actual reason for why he's doing this is completely unclear, because it does...
hang on real quick. And
yeah.
I mean, the implication is when he was here as a child, from stuff that we get later in the reading, like, this seems like just how he operated when he was here in Prague, was because Nina says a thing about... She came home and was welcomed by herself. And, you know, like you said, the bystander was like, yeah, they had one child, you know, and it was unclear if it was a boy or a girl. It just seems like this kind of ambiguous gender presentation, at the very least, is how Johan worked when he was in Prague.
Right. And this basically, the whole thing of man pretending to be woman in order to trick another man, you know, into getting close to him, into being romantic with him. This is a transphobic trope, right?
Extremely.
This isn't something that happens in real life. This has not been something that has ever happened in real life, because trans people are not tricking anyone. But the image, the concept of the man dressing up as a woman to trick them, it emerges from the perception of trans people as pretending, or as tricking, as being deceitful, as hiding who they really are, right? And of course, trans people that are who they really are, they are being completely honest, you know, with themselves. But of course, some bigoted folk feel otherwise, right? And this is also an interesting move culturally, because this particular flavor of transphobia is extremely Western in nature, coming very strongly from the Western cinematic tradition of transphobia. And if you guys are curious about this, before the whole thing with like a tweet she made or something, Lindsay Ellis made a very, very good video called Tracing the Roots of Pop Culture Transphobia. And if you watch that video and then read this section, it is one-to-one. You see exactly the tradition that Urasawa was in, which is this idea of the man with confused gender presentation, whether he is internally confused or is intending to be externally confusing, this is a monstrous thing. It is if not evil, at the very least deceitful in a not good way. And it's especially, like, you can make arguments for there being a basis in character for this. I think Urasawa actually tries pretty hard to make an actual character basis for this. That doesn't change the fact that this is a transphobic trope, and
Yeah, and I mean, I will just say
yeah.
very quickly, like, tropes like this, stories that do this thing, this is like my first knowledge of the concept of trans people comes from, as a kid reading Stephen King books, reading other books that like people who were trying to knock off Stephen King, like, there's the character who, they have a wig and breast forms and stuff in their closet and they're secretly a freak, right? Like this comes from, it's reactionary, it's like you said, there's a long tradition of it, and it is very, very, very ingrained in certain types of stories. So like you can see, like you said, it doesn't make you said it's a Western idea of this thing, and we've said before, like, hey, these are the types of stories that Urasawa is pulling from and clearly likes and grew up reading and watching and stuff like that. So like, yeah, this is just another move from that toolbox. Like, it's a horrible, shitty move, right? But like, you can, and absolutely not excusing it at all, right?
But it was one that, especially in the 90s, I mean, that's kind of peak for this. And I think you could, if I had to guess, this is Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It feels like Silence of the Lambs to me, and I think the thing is that just the idea of Johan dressing up as Nina, pretending to be by itself, I think that honestly could have been pulled off without being transphobic, because there is interesting character basis for it. However, there is one sequence and one panel in particular that erases all doubt about this perspective on gender weirdness.
Is it the smile?
It's the smile. It's this horrible thing. So we get this sequence. We're in the bathroom because, of course, it's the bathroom. The ultimate location, the
obsession with bathrooms
of it's his private bathroom, but still, and he takes the wig off, and the thing is, we don't see his face at all as he washes his face and takes his makeup off, and then he looks up into the camera, into the mirror, and he has a truly evil smile on. And here's the thing, we haven't seen Johan do an evil smile or have an evil face until this moment. This is very much a revelation of the depths of his evil and the depths of his non-normativity, and it is connected with having non-normative gender presentation for deceitful purposes or for internal purposes. Like, it's muddy and it's weird and
it's supposed to be horrifying. I mean, like, yeah,
exactly.
It's the smile is very scary, and it's just, the whole thing sucks.
It sucks.
It's too bad, I think is the
it's
easiest way to put it.
Because it is a completely shitty thing that's interwoven with other very cool, interesting things.
Yeah.
And
I have a lot of notes about this
each
chapter and a lot of the things that it does that I like, right? But like, man, that just, I think you said it's a can of worms that has been lobbed into the middle of this story, and it really is. So I don't know. I do not feel like you've pretty much said it better than I can. I don't really have too much more to add or anything to add.
I think we've addressed it rather thoroughly at this point. But just readers, it sucks. And if you're curious about why it sucks, there's a lot of good places to go, and that Lindsay Ellis video is a good place to start.
And I do think it's important that we have this conversation, just because, like, a lot of times when people do podcasts or videos or, essays about things that they like, a lot of times in fandom spaces, there's pushback, right? Like, okay, if you like this thing, why are you being so mean to it, right? And I do truly think, I'm not going to go full black pill, like, oh, media literacy is dead, people can't do criticism, stuff like that. But, like, I do think that one thing that gets lost sometimes is a very important thing. A very important part of talking about things that you like is talking about the parts that you don't think work, right? Yeah. Like, you have to be able to, I'm not going to go full, in order for there to be highs, there have to be lows. But I think you have to be able to talk about the mechanics of how a thing functions, what you like, what you don't, in order to, like, I think that that's just good criticism. I don't
Totally.
think good criticism is just PR, right? Like selling a thing regardless. So we can, I don't think anyone in our listenership is going to be mad at us for addressing this, but I do think it's
Totally.
like, hey, it's important that when you see something that you think is shitty in something that you really like, you say, hey, that thing's shitty. That doesn't mean that we're
Yeah.
saying the whole thing is like, you got to write it off, throw it out. But I think it would be negligent if we didn't address it.
And talking about like mechanics, right? I mean, let's like the cultural mechanics of this are clear. This is the kind of thing that indirectly contributes to violence. And if that sounds hyperbolic, I'm sorry, it's not. It, like that's why I put indirectly in there. If I said directly, that might be hyperbolic. Indirectly, no. That's very much, like dehumanizing someone based on the fact that they are not presenting their gender in a normative way. That it 1, 2, 3. It all goes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. But I would like to talk about the actual like story stuff. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. And let's actually talk about the chapter. Since I kind of took point on that there, Matt, where do you want to begin here?
Yeah, so the first note that I have, and this was something that came up a couple episodes ago, I think it was in the conclusion to the Munich stuff, right? There's a lot of times the chapters will start with all black, right? There's like panels in all black. And you mentioned, you're like, hey, this is a very common shorthand for flashback. And I've noticed it happens a lot at the beginning of chapters now. Like, since you've mentioned it, I have been on the lookout for it. But this chapter starts that way. I don't know if it's flashback or not, but I do think I like this approach that it kind of takes for a second, right? Where it's like, oh, this guy's talking to someone. Who is he talking to? It's almost like a man on the street segment in a documentary, right? Where it's like, oh, someone's being interviewed about something that happened here. And I think that that's an interesting viewpoint.
You're totally right.
Yeah, that we haven't really taken before. And it's really interesting to imagine, okay, if you were going to tell this story as a documentary after the fact, like, what does that look like? Just like an interesting thought experiment. But then from there, it jumps into what Tyler called out as one of his favorite things, right? When it's like, oh, surprise, Tenma is here as well. And it just almost feels like an editor's note, right? Where it's like, hey, we haven't seen Dr. Tenma in a while. And he's not really in the rest of the chapter. It's like, just throw him in here so people remember that he is the main character.
Yeah.
So I like the way this one opens a lot. And the kind of that ambiguity that gets introduced at the start of Johan and Nina / Anna being one entity. The kid was gone, but the kid was still there.
It sets it all up.
I like, it's too bad that becomes transphobic, because I think that's like an interesting thing to think about and analyze. Like, because we've talked so much about split personalities, stuff like that. So I think this chapter starts strong.
And again, it's not like, like the concept of Johan being identified with Nina in a way that bestranged his selfhood is fascinating. It is purely, I think the transphobia here is purely in the execution. Or at least 90% in the execution, probably 10% in the concept. He could have gotten information out of Suk without being dressed up. But I really like this man on the street guy. And in case anyone here is like, how is Tenma talking to this guy? He doesn't know Czech. Speaking German is very common in the Czech Republic even today, and was even more common back then, in the time after German occupation, and when it was, like very close to East Berlin. The Nazis they put a lot of work into trying to wipe out Czech culture, and did not totally manage it. But, speaking German is pretty common there. So there you go. In case anyone wanted
I was going to ask, because it comes up a little bit later, and that's kind of what I figured. But from context clues, but yeah.
Another note. So we get a nice full title page where we see the sign Utrijab. And so there's a couple interesting things about this. In the original manga run and in the original tankobon run, this was actually Trijaba, which is Three Frogs or The Three Frogs. But this is Utrijab, which is At the Three Frogs. So they changed the name for the perfect edition.
Is there a reason why they did that?
Nah, I don't know, honestly. Maybe that's a more common like way to title establishments. But I know that they changed it. Yeah. Also, just one more fun fact: you guys can see here that the R in 3 has a little little guy over it, little arrow. That actually is a special phoneme that only exists in Czech. No other language has this. And I can't do it very well, but it is basically, it's like an R, but you also whistle at the same time. So it's so, if you guys like look up Czech numbers, like there's a little video where it's where they like count to 10 and they say like 3, 4, you know, it's, and you listen to that and you're like, how the fuck do you make that sound? Even for natives it can be very difficult. I knew a guy named Andre, which like he's a native and he had to get like vocal training to say his own name properly as a kid because it's just a difficult sound to make. Anyway,
that's wild. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I like that.
It's a really cool fact about Czech. They just have their own phoneme just for them. So hardly anyone ever saw her, and they say her name was fake. Then one day a black car pulled up and took both of them away. Rumor had it she was involved in some kind of anti-government movement. It wasn't rare for people to just disappear like that. You know, during the reign of terror, so before the communist regime. Okay. And I'm not sure. One thing I forgot to check on was what the, like, how long the period was between the Nazis and the Soviets coming in. But I guess it was a bad time. I feel silly for not checking on that time period.
Honestly, like the length of the Cold War becomes a plot critical thing in a way that I was not expecting.
Oh yeah, when you're in Prague, it really gets dialed up. Like East versus West, the thing coming down, the Soviet occupation, like all of that is very, very important.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff in that first part, and then the majority of the rest of the chapter, like you said, is the Suk, Nina / Anna stuff. The first note that I have here, well, they have the discussion where he asks her name again, and he says the thing, you need to know people's names and roles to build trust, which I thought the roles part of that was interesting to me. I don't know why that's kind of a weird thing to say. That is not the way that I feel, but
it might be, and I could be wrong here. It might actually be a holdover from a Japanese perspective.
Okay.
Because it's very important in Japanese culture to know where you stand in relation to another person, like before you know how to relate to them. And so it could just be a little bit of Japanese culture sinking in here.
Yeah.
Or maybe Jan is just a very formal person.
Yeah. I mean, I do really like that he is. I mean, like, my man is down bad if he's gone on this many dates with her and still does not know her name. Yeah. But I like that they established that this is something that's important to her because of the way that it gets deployed, like, at the end of their sequence, right? Like, honestly, the writing of this whole sequence makes me excited for some of the more... I don't know, like, what you said that Urasawa stuff before this, there's the tennis manga, and then there's another one, right? Like, that has another female lead character.
Yaora? Yeah.
Right, that I think you would, like, if you were to put it in an American genre, would it be more lean towards, like, rom-com or something like that? Then...
Hard for me to say.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but, like, I would be very interested in seeing Urasawa write a story in the rom-com genre, because Quinn, I don't know if you know this about me, like, I love rom-coms, just movies. I think the good ones are, like, a good one is very good, and I think it's fascinating to think about what makes bad and boring ones bad. And I bring that up because I think that this date sequence is good for so many reasons. Like, a lot of the stuff that happens, like, when they leave, like, I've written down my notes on what makes this work. And I just think it's like, man, he can do every genre.
Oh, totally. I mean, Urasawa, I mean, like, it's interesting you talk about romance, right? Because a rom-com is a very formulaic style of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at some of the other stuff that we know Urasawa has a fondness for. He loves horror. He loves crime thrillers. These are also very formulaic styles of fiction, and I think when we've seen him bringing in other genres, he does so by incorporating bits of their formula into here. It's a very honestly, I think it's a very intellectual approach to story composition that he takes, and I think we see that. I think you see that in Billy Bat too. You see it in his current series, Asadora. He's Urasawa or Pluto. I mean, fuck. I mean, you want to talk about taking a story formula and trying to and doing something on top of that or with that. I mean,
it's just
Pluto
a reinterpretation
is a remake,
of the
is a reinterpretation. So this is territory and a style of work that Urasawa really loves to live in. He's like, what can I use this style for? How do I make this work for me? How do I put it into this story? And what can I use it for? And here we can really see it being leveraged for this one-sided connection that Jan is having with Johan. And this conversation he has is also really fun because he says, like, he's giving us a lot of quite dense exposition here, which is fun, but we also get character moments, and I think the one that's the most telling is him saying, "There's so much darkness so close to our everyday world," and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I'll just get this out and then give the mic back to Matt. But this strikes me as being very, very. This strikes me as an echo of a few readings ago when Lotta was also uncovering what was going on with the monster and also feeling that feeling of there's so much darkness, I don't understand, how can all of this be so close to us? And that also happened during a chapter where another lighter genre was pulled in. So it's another instance of Urasawa using these patterns that we know of from more easygoing genres to show us a character that is in the process of changing genres.
Yeah. Well, it happens with Nina in her introduction.
Mm-hmm.
It happens with Richard in his chapter, right? Where he's police procedural.
I
think this is like
really good.
you've unlocked something, right? Like,
yeah, there's all of these characters from other genres that then get dragged into this one. Oh.
It's good. This is a good story.
Yeah. That's really fun.
Man, I like it a lot. Just kind of flipping through.
It is funny that Jan goes, "In the end, you can only trust yourself." And then, the very next page, he says, "Somehow I feel like I can tell you anything."
Buddy.
Oh, buddy. Oh, boy.
It's too bad. I like when they're walking down the street, he's talking about his childhood wanting to be a detective. He does the little thing where he's mimicking shooting a gun, right? Like talking about how he used to play detectives growing up.
Yeah.
And then they see a couple across the street making out, and both of them get nervous, right? And like, I think that is, afterwards, with the light of everything that happens, it's, a bit more manipulative, but I do think it's very cute, like the idea that the two of them are nervous seeing this other couple making out, and it's like, uh-oh, what are we supposed to do? Like, oh, are we gonna make out? Yeah. I don't know.
I actually feel like I think it's just Suk that gets it's nervous.
Mostly him, yeah.
Yeah, Johan seems unbothered.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then, there's a very good moment where he reveals that he has the key. And then Johan says, "I'm worried about you. Don't tell anyone about this." Right? Yeah. Which before the reveal reads as like a very nice, sweet thing.
Totally.
And then after the reveal, it's like, oh, master of manipulation. Right? Like covering the tracks.
He pulls in Suk's mom. He's like, do you know why your mom didn't want you to be a cop? She wanted to protect you, just like me. And so it's a very quick, like, we see exactly how Johan works, which is people tell him something about their childhoods, and then he knows exactly how to use that button and push on it. Which puts me in mind of just a quick tangent about the video game Life is Strange. A lot of people like it. I don't like it. You know what you do in that video game? You have time powers so you can go back in time. So what you do is you talk to people, and then you, like, learn one of their secrets, and then you go back in time so that then you can, like, pretend like it's just a really good guess, and then that gets them to do something you want. And it's just, this is clearly manipulative behavior, and I don't know why anyone thinks the main character of that game is actually a good person, because if you're actually doing those things in real life, you'd be a bad person. Monster's a pretty good manga. Anyway, the sequence where Johan's walking through the alleys and the people around are saying hi. They're saying hi. Hello, Anna. Lovely evening. You know, and so he's been living here for, I don't know, at least a week or two. Like, he's been living as Anna to at least some degree. Which again is just more of the transphobia, like, but he's not actually Anna. That's like, that's the horror of it, is that he's living as something that he isn't actually, and he's doing it on purpose, and he knows he's being deceitful. Just again, that's what transphobes think trans people are doing. It is not. You know, and then there's the whole sequence, and at the end, Johan says, the key to a safe deposit box. And I think that's all I have to say about this chapter.
Yeah. The last note that I had, and it's, you know, it's before we get into the transphobia spiral, but my favorite part of the end of that date is Johan, Nina walks away, right, and Suk is just still standing there watching her walk away, and she turns around to wave, right, and of course he's still watching, like, man, that's just the best. That is the best when someone looks back and you know, when you get that, you're splitting up and you both turn around and look at each other, like, very good. Aww, thumbs up.
Cute.
So we can. It's too bad that was a move. Because that is a nice thing when it happens.
Is too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else for 87, so I think we move on to 88, which is titled Remnants of a Monster. Maybe it's in the original Tankobon, maybe it's just a translation that pops up on Wikipedia. This one was called Afterimage of a Monster, which is a title that I think I like a little bit more.
This strikes me as probably just a different translation.
Yeah.
Afterimage of a Monster that does have a bit of a flavor.
Well, there's a reason why I like that title a little bit more, and it's for a moment that happens. But it's they're very similar.
Yeah, I see what you say. I see what you say.
Yeah.
Okay, hit us with that summary.
Okay, so here's the summary. In the wake of the revelations about the former heads of the Czech police and their ties to the old secret police, a new group of investigators is brought in to root out corruption once and for all. The new police chief, Chief Nepola, meets with Detective Suk to commend him on his work in finding the previous corruption and to get updates on how he's working his next case, in which Suk denies any knowledge of a tall man connected with Zeman's murder. After the meeting, Nepola assigns some of his men to follow Suk and report back. Suk goes to meet with Grimmer at a cafe out in the open. The two talk about staying safe amid all of the chaos and conspiracy, and Grimmer states that if someone really wanted to kill them, they'd already be dead. They discuss going to the safety deposit box holding Petrov's notes, and Grimmer points out that Suk is being tailed. The two stand to leave, and Grimmer is struck with a wave of terror and an image of the blonde woman that appeared when he was being tortured in the basement by Zeman. Grimmer and Suk leave, and Grimmer's suspicions are confirmed in two ways. Suk has been followed, and the blonde woman was here in the form of Johan, watching the two of them. Suk and Grimmer get to the bank, where a nervous manager admits them access to the deposit box after making a call, and the two play the tape, which is indeed from Kinderheim 511 and is indeed from Johan. So that's kind of what I meant by the title, was there's that panel.
Yeah, the panel where
Grimmer whipping around and thinking that he's seen this blonde woman, when really what he's seen is Johan.
that is good.
But Remnants works as well, because what they find in the bank is it's these things that were left behind from the monster. So they both, I think both translations work. I wonder if
they could have translated it as Echo.
Echoes is good. I like that.
Yeah. Do we have a lot to say about this chapter? This feels like one of the chapters that the summary kind of does the work on.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. The one note that I have is when Chief Nepola gets brought in, he's talking about the proud work of policing And I just noted that as an interesting phrase. I think he also says, "Let your conscience be your guide."
Yeah.
It's like, I think very clearly is flagging to the readers that like these are the good cops are finally here, right? Which is why it's like a setup for what happens next. They're tailing Sook because he's suspicious, like rightfully so. It's suspicious this dude has been able to rise to the ranks. A bunch of his superiors were murdered, but I think it's the story is working really hard to be like, hey, you have seen so many bad cops in the past couple chapters. Like, don't worry, these ones are the good guys, because of the way that they get deployed. Like as it continues to go on.
Interesting. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know if I'm fully sold on that, but I think there is definitely a chance. Like it's yeah, maybe. I'll give that a strong maybe.
I mean, as always, a cab, like we always say.
Yep.
But this is a story. It's a detective story. There's cops are going to be main characters in this story.
Yeah. I think I have a couple notes, one of which is that where is it? Yeah. So they're at the cafe, and Grimmer is like, nowhere's safe. If someone wants to attack you, they can do it anywhere. For example, from that window. And then Suka's like, oh man. And then somebody sets the glass down, and it makes a dawn sound. Which is, of course, also the sound effect for a gunshot. Which is cute. Because that's the kind of sonic pun that we don't really get, because obviously to us, a glass being set down, like bam, even if it said that, I feel like our relationship to sound effects isn't strong enough for that to really get across. Like, we wouldn't be like, oh, this is like a gunshot sound pun. But I think maybe for someone that's more, I think that pun might.
I might push back a little, because I think if you sound effected it bang, I think it would work in the same way. But like
maybe, actually, maybe you might be right.
But bang, you can't really use for anything aside from a gunshot, I don't think. So I don't know if Dawn is multi-purpose. Yeah.
Bang.
He's drinking orange juice with a straw, which I think is disgusting. I disapprove of that, drinking from a straw out of that glass of orange juice.
My guess is that's a space constraint choice.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a lot of talking that has to happen in this sequence, and these are not big panels, and if Grimmer drank like a normal person, his face would be hidden by the glass. It is also funny when Grimmer's like, don't look to your left. Jan immediately looks to his left.
Of course he does. I mean, I would too. I don't blame him. The motion blur that it does when it zooms in on Johan, like on the reveal, like extremely 90s, very good.
Yeah, it is. It's super 90s. It's super fun. Did you see Johan when Grimmer initially looks around, because he's there?
I flipped back after the reveal and found the panel where it's like, yeah, you can see him. And I was like, oh, that's good. I like that.
Isn't that fun? I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't cheating there, which is like always a fan when you make it work like that.
Mm-hmm. And then they go to the safety thing. They begin to hear. They begin to listen to the tape. My name is Johan. End of chapter. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good chapter. It's pretty quick. But it is a very good way to end. That sure is the scaredest bank clerk of all time, checking them in to see that safety deposit box. It's good. I think we can move on to 89.
Okay. Chapter 89 is called Replay. Grimmer and Johan listen to the interview... Wait. No. Grimmer and Jan listen to the interview with Johan. And Grimmer notes that this interview is being conducted under the influence of drugs. Johan's been drugged. He tells Jan that the former Czech secret police are gonna be after them now that they've listened to it. Jan takes the tape with him to bring it to a safe place. And then a couple of special investigators from headquarters show up at his apartment. He tells them, well, he's got nothing to hide. And so they search his apartment, and what do they find but the whiskey bonbons that were poisoned? He's being set the fuck up. Also, somebody gave him a lot of money in his bank account, so yeah, he's being set up real good. And he goes to his room to change his shirt before they take him downtown, and then he stops changing because he smells gunpowder. He opens the door as we cut to Grimmer going up the stairs to his apartment and passing Johan as Nina coming down the stairs. Grimmer opens the door to find Jan standing in his living room with the dead bodies of the special investigators around him. End of chapter.
This is another one that I don't have a ton of notes on. I did note at the beginning of the chapter when they listened to the tape, I like the shot of the two of them listening to it. They're both in like ready position there.
Yeah,
it's good.
Grimmer's acting, or like his character work, his face during this scene. He's so sad and so worried.
Okay, that's a good read on it, because I was trying to figure out what because at one point he becomes too distraught for them to continue listening and stops it, which I think is interesting because this is the same effect that the story had on Lotta, right? She was able to finish it, but the thing that she says is like, I feel sick reading this, right? Like, it makes me feel terrible. What is up with this? So there's some supernatural monstrousness to this story. Because you mentioned that during the summary, right? That what he does is he reads off the story of the nameless monster, or recites the story of the nameless monster.
I don't think I mentioned that, no, but he does, yeah. Johan recites the story of the nameless monster and also claims to have, he says his name is Hans and Otto and Thomas.
Which I like, because those are the names of of who the monster eats in that story.
Exactly.
Like, that was a good
it's
thing.
Really cool. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because, like, we as the reader know what this is, but Jan has no way of knowing what this is. We don't know if Grimmer knows what this is.
Know what it is.
Yeah, so it's no
one knows.
It's terrifying for them, and for us, it's like, oh, it's a piece of this puzzle falling into place.
Yeah, and it's cool, because normally you're following along with what the characters are doing with what the characters know, but this is one of those moments where we, the audience, get to know something and put a puzzle piece together before the characters do.
There haven't been too many of those before this reading. I don't think
so. No, like normally we find something, and even if the characters don't know like where to put it, like maybe we know where to put it, but it hasn't happened on this scale because like Grimmer and Jan don't know who the fuck Johan is.
Mm-hmm.
They've never heard of this story. They have no point of connection to this at all, except Kinderheim 511, and so they get very little out of it. And we get quite a lot out of it.
Yeah,
it's very cool. It's a cool vibe.
It's good. I made a note as they leave that Grimmer asks Jan for his cell phone number, which I think is interesting. That we've gone from the beginning of the story was Lunga with his IBM
big
PC with the floppy disks that he's imprinting his memories onto, and now we've got Jansuk has a cell phone. Because it's extremely the late 90s at this point.
Yeah. It's probably 95, 96 at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Matt exists. Matt's real. Matt's
I've been born at this point in Monster.
It is funny when Grimmer is like going home and then he's like, Sook's an idiot. I better go catch up with him.
It takes him 2 minutes to realize that he's made a mistake here.
Yeah. I don't know how much else I've got either.
The only stuff that I have left is like the shaking onomatopoeia comes back when Jan is terrified, and I think that's a good one. I like that motif a lot. And then I have that as Grimmer passes Nina/Johan on the stairs, Johan is eyes closed and smiling, which I don't know if there's anything to talk about there, but I think that's usually the way Johan is after he kills people.
It is also interesting the stark fear that Grimmer feels seeing Johan.
Oh no! Don't do that. Not that one. We can just say Johan/Nina.
But yeah, and then as always, whenever there's a shot with dead people in it, Urasawa delivers. You know, that guy is so dead.
Bangers. Yeah.
You know, like the way that he's slumped against the corner, like against the filing cabinet, kind of propped up off the ground. Awful. It's awful to look at. I love it. And then Jan just in total shock. Ooh,
Shoulder
it's a
shrugged, like,
great
oh
last
man.
page.
It's
It's
good.
a great last page. I really like it. But yeah, I think I don't think there's a lot else to do here. Unless you want to talk a bit more about what Johan says on tape, but he doesn't really say that much.
I mean, I think we went
no.
over it all, right? He gives the story. They ask him questions about his mother. He doesn't really know.
How about this? The interviewer asks Johan, "Have you ever killed anyone?" Which is a funky question to ask a 6-year-old, as I think he was at the time, maybe even younger. And he says, "Many people died. It was as if Anna and I were the only ones in the whole world." Which I think we've heard before.
Yes, that was the phrase that he said to Schuwald during the fire. Like when he got very close to him, that's when that one came up. I lived in a fairy tale village. Many people died. It was as if... Mm-hmm.
And we can also understand this phrase as being the verbal equivalent to that arc image of the two of them walking through the wasteland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. This phrase and that image are the same thing. So it's just another point of repetition of that.
Oh, well, the last thing I would say is they ask a couple times, is there anything you're afraid of? What's your greatest fear?
Yeah.
And he says, the monster inside of me is getting bigger and bigger. Chomp, chomp, munch, munch, gobble, gobble, gulp. And that's where they stop. But the greatest fear, that seems to be the important question.
Yes.
What is Johan's greatest fear?
Yes. All right. Chapter 90?
Chapter 90, Point of Contact. Okay. Tenma is digging through the archives of a small German newspaper, because he doesn't speak Czech, looking for details on Johan's origin. The lead reporter stops in to chat with Tenma, telling him about the ongoing scandal with the Czech secret police and Detective Suk. Tenma is struck by the similarities to his own backstory and realizes that Johan must be involved. The reporter tells him that Suk is on the run, but authorities are confident they'll catch him at either the bar or the hospital where his mother is staying. Tenma visits the hospital and talks with Suk's mom, an older woman with a failing memory. She inadvertently tells Tenma Suk's hiding spot, an abandoned house that he used to play detective in when he was a boy. As Tenma leaves, she begins reciting the nameless monster story and puts on Johan's interview tape to listen to. In the abandoned house, Suk freaks out about his current situation, and Grimmer does his best to calm him down, saying that at least Suk has a witness and everything will be okay. He just needs to trust himself. Placated, Suk paces the room, recounting how he used to play detective here. Suddenly, he's shot, and Grimmer realizes that they're surrounded.
Yeah.
This one's good.
Yeah, things pick up a bit here.
Yeah. Tenma's back. We have people we don't recognize, and then Tenma's here. I will say these newspaper guys, the one who talks to Tenma, very, very Maurer coded. We love that Tenma is just able to make friends with newspaper guys.
Yeah, these kind of podgy newspaper guys. Although this guy is maybe more of a professional than Maurer was.
The thing that he says is so funny. He's like, foreign correspondents for a minor German newspaper got no business just sitting around. Like,
Yep.
If anyone has business just sitting around, it's you, my dude. The foreign correspondents for the minor newspaper.
It's fun. There's a good line in this conversation. You know, Tenma's pretending to be a journalist himself. I'm doing a story on the abductions and incarcerations they perpetrated during the Cold War years, and the journalist tells him, "You're playing with fire, you know that? I risked my life to do that story." And I really like how Urasawa did his face in that panel. You can tell that he really did risk his life to do that story. And I think that's just a cool thing to remind you, like, you know, at the time and even now, pursuing the wrong thing, people will try to kill you for it. And it's I just think that's cool to be reminded of.
It's good.
Then Tenma reads about what's going on with Suk, and his face darkens. Like, the bags under his eyes, like, get so much stronger, and you can hear the Vietnam flashbacks as he reads Sook's story as his own.
Yeah.
know?
Well, I didn't realize it right away the first time I read it, and I made note. And then the second time I read it, they explicitly call it out a little bit later, and I guess I just missed that. But I was like, wow, he is literally doing the exact same thing. It's
Yeah,
a,
Johan is doing the same play.
young professional who's very talented, he does the right thing, right? Like, even though it's like it puts his career in danger. And then everyone who would oppose him doing the right thing is mysteriously murdered by poison candy. Like, I'm honestly a little frustrated with myself that I did not catch it right away. I mean, like, we caught the poison candy, right? But like, even more of the similarities that we didn't catch them right away. Like, oh, and here's another one, right? Tenma showed up drunk at Johan's room that one night and was just like telling stuff to Johan. Jan Suk is doing the same thing. He goes and gets drunk every night and tells Johan about how, his career is in the pits now because of this.
It is interesting. Johan.
Johan.
There's also something interesting here about how German right-wingers and the former Czech secret police lost their power when the wall came down, and then they became a crime syndicate. Right, so here we're seeing more about that flashpoint of about how the world is different after the Berlin Wall comes down, and after East and West. What is that great darkness? But it's interesting that this is saying that German right-wingers lost some of their power when the wall came down. I'm not sure if that means German right-wingers on the east or west side of the wall.
I read it as just specifically in like Prague and Czechoslovakia, or in the Czech Republic.
I think it was Czechoslovakia at the time.
It was, and then it splits again.
In the 80s, it splits, late 80s. It was just interesting to me to, for the manga to mention another point of process, another piece of evidence for us, when we're looking at the East and West dynamics and what that darkness could be. So it's interesting that they lost their institutional power and then tried to gain power in other ways. And that might be something thematically important. I don't know. East and West seems to, despite the Cold War coming up a bit stronger, East and West seems to have taken a bit of a backseat.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see how it goes, but I just wanted to note that. Matt, you got anything?
Yeah, I had two notes about the hospital sequence. First, that nurse should not just be telling people where a high-profile killer's mom is.
Yeah.
Like, oops. And she asks Tenma, "Are you a cop?" And he says no. And then she tells him, like, you're not going to get what you're looking for. And that's in reference to, her memory is failing. But I've made note of that. I was like, oops, you should not have done that. And then the next thing I have is, this is the first time that we've seen Dr. Tenma in a long time. Like, he's doing his incredible bedside manner with patients thing here.
Yeah.
Like, talking with Jan Suk's mom.
And like he looks almost happy for the first time.
He smiles. He looks happy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it for me for my notes on this chapter.
I really think it's sweet. She tells him where Suk is, right? That old abandoned house on Bruno Street. Because that's where Suk used to play as a kid. And so Tenma, Jan's mom thinks Tenma is Jan. And so Tenma asks her, "You knew?" And she says, "Yes, I knew." And I just, it's so sweet.
Moms know.
And then she starts listening to the tape. And at first it kind of freaks you out. And then you realize, Jan gave her the tape.
Yeah. It's almost kind of funny, right? Where it's like, he left the tape with his mom, of course.
Yeah.
Because it is that exact sequence, right? Where it could play as just like something that's creepy and tropey, right? Like an old person who maybe has a little bit of dementia saying something spooky. But it's like, no, this is like his plan. This was...
Yeah. Honestly, a pretty good plan, Jan.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, solid. And then we jump to Grimmer and Jan in the abandoned house. And the thing that really gets me about this sequence is, again, is Jan's breakdown. Is Jan going, "Holy fuck, my life is over. What did I fucking do to deserve this?"
Yeah.
It's interesting how much more he panics than Tenma. Like, Tenma freaked out, but he didn't panic to the same degree. Tenma was a little bit more, well, here's what I gotta do.
Well, I will say for Tenma, those people weren't murdered directly in front of him. He showed up after they were already dead.
There is that.
Is the only difference here. But yeah, no. You're right. Their reactions are very different.
I like Grimmer's pep talk.
I do too. Yeah, he grabs him and I think he says, "You got to pull yourself together."
Yeah. You have to trust yourself. In the end, that's all you've got. Which is a great panel.
I also I didn't make a note of this, but flipping to that panel, I saw it that Jan is having his panic attack while Grimmer is pulling out another one of his picnic lunches in this abandoned building. It's good.
More sandwiches. I really love it when Jan plays detective at the desk.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cute. In the name of justice. And then he gets shot like a bitch.
Yeah, spoilers for the next chapters. He gets shot a lot.
Oh man, does he ever? Does he ever? Okay, I think that's everything for chapter 90. Like it's like we said kind of at the top, like there's some individual chapters here that do not have a whole awful lot to discuss, but if you're reading, you'll know that doesn't make them worse chapters. These are good. These are fun reads. Chapter 91, Blind Spot. This one is killer. Jan is shot. Grimmer borrows his gun. They are surrounded by, I guess, the ex-secret police that became a crime syndicate. And as Grimmer tries to fend off people from the hallway, people from outside keep shooting Jan through the window. They just keep doing it.
Do you know that Turkish movie where the guy gets shot a bunch of times and he starts screaming anew every time he gets shot?
No.
I'll send you the link to it, but that's how I like to imagine this scene.
And as the mercs, as the what's a good noun here? Fuckers. As the fuckers kind of
I was gonna say goons.
Oh, perfect. There we go. As the goons close in, we hear them speaking Czech through the walls. And there's all of these sounds. There's the creaking of basically there's a whole bunch of sounds. Grimmer's in a tight corner. And we see him freak the fuck out, and then we cut to Tenma and a sniper from across the way. And he asks the sniper, "What's going on?" Sniper says, "We killed him." Tenma pistol whips him. Hell yeah. Says he's too late. Tenma goes to the room where Grimmer and Jan are. Grimmer has beat these goons all 3/4 of the way to death. The magnificent Steiner has done it again. And the chapter ends with Grimmer telling us, "You see, I'm also a product of 511 Kinderheim."
Incredible reveal. I called it wrong last time where I said it was probably his son that was there. And this is where I said the fact that the Cold War was a lot longer than, I immediately think of it as it comes into play. Was not expecting that at all, but then as soon as it happens, it's like, it makes so much sense.
It's really cool. It is really cool. And this chapter is great. What a thrilling read. Like, this is what like gunfights are all about. This might be one of my favorite gunfights I've read, period. I've got to say.
Yeah, they get owned. Like, Grimmer and Suk. Suk gets shot. My note is, it's kind of funny that he's gotten shot twice. And then the next line is 3 times. And then I think the next one is, and again. He has been shot so many times.
Happening. Yeah. But what really gets me about this chapter is the pacing of it. It is this gorgeous Grimmer, something else. Grimmer shoots, something else happens. It's... Urasawa does this wonderful thing of doing close-up shots and faraway shots and then close-up, like the constant in and out, forward and back pacing of this sequence. If you read it almost all the time, it alternates between having Grimmer in panels. There are times when we see him in 2 panels in a row, but those are usually he's usually in pretty different poses, or we see him at very different camera angles, right? So it's this constant sense of motion and change and danger. My God, everything brings a sense of danger. This is such a densely packed sequence, and it's super, super duper cool to read.
Yeah, the start of the fight where basically the door kicks open and you don't even see the person, you just see the hand, and they say the tape, and Grimmer like pops off 5 or 6 shots, runs forward, slams the door shut, and then pushes the desk in front of it. Like, I love that, those 2 pages, and it's like you said, there's lots of action, lots of movement. Despite this is a gunfight where pretty much they're just pinned down waiting to be killed, it manages to just like be moving.
It's also, really cool, like how Jan is just lying there and he keeps getting shot, and like Grimmer wants to go and get him, but if he does that, he's gonna get shot. And so you feel this helplessness, this like, oh my God, he's just there. They're just shooting him. They're not even trying to kill him. They're just torturing him. And you really feel that helplessness as he keeps getting shot and screaming in pain. It's terrible.
And it works so well. There are so many text balloons. Like, they're multiplying, right? Like you said, from the sound, from the conversations. And it is just like, it becomes claustrophobic. And then it explodes into that panel where it's just completely black, except for, Grimmer kind of curled up in the fetal position and all of the text bubbles surrounding him before he starts screaming and goes Steiner mode.
Sicko mode, step aside.
It's Steiner mode. It's
Steiner
so
time.
good.
Yeah, I goddamn love the conversation that the goons are having, because they're just out there as they're trying to kill these guys, talking about what they want to have for lunch.
Yeah, it goes back to, it was the thing you said last chapter, right? Where was those guys were talking in Czech and Grimmer can't understand them, and they were just talking about the football game. Here it is again, except this time it's been translated for us so we can hear, no, I don't want Chinese food again.
That place ain't Chinese, it's Vietnamese.
It's so good.
It's really, really funny, but it's also like the context. The fact that these people are just casually discussing what they're gonna have for lunch after this, as they are trying to like drill their way into this room to kill these people. There is also terror in that, and it's like, this is every day. Like, this is every day for these guys. This is a Tuesday. What are we gonna have for lunch after this? This is what
Roberto was talking about, right? When it's like, you're a doctor, this is not your job, this is my job. I will show you how to shoot a gun and kill someone. And we get it a little bit on the next page too, right? Like, the sniper is whistling when Tenma sneaks up to him.
I think he's humming.
Yeah, he's probably humming because his lips are closed. Really,
yeah. But it's just funny, there's this guy and he's there just ready to kill somebody. Sniping's a good job, I guess.
Yeah, pays the bills. You get to eat out, I guess. Put it on the company card.
We have to wonder if his parents like it. And Tenma's here, also importantly, on that spread, where the sound bubbles multiply and Grimmer goes Steiner mode, slanted panels, diagonal panels. There they are. Things are going wonky. Things are slipping into dream time. Everything's going off. Diagonal panels. It's so it's really fun to see such a clear piece of language exist in this manga, and I'm really interested to see if this is something that Urasawa continues in his other series.
Good call, yeah.
Is this, does he use diagonal panels more freely in other series? Like, is this a language that he has chosen for Monster, or is this how he prefers to communicate things? Something for us to keep in mind as we read other series.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really interesting is, like, every time you call this out, it's not something that I immediately make note of right away, but it's one of those kind of like background things that contributes to the effect. That it's one of those things where it's like, you're making it look so easy. It's just it's a good method that it's so subtle that I miss it every time it happens. But I get the effect, but I'm not necessarily noticing the mechanics.
Yeah, it's like good editing in a movie. Good editing means you don't notice the editing; you're just seamlessly in it. And the diagonal panels unless you're really looking for it like I am, you probably won't notice, but things will feel different. That page will have a different impact on you, and that's just the coolest shit. I mean, that's what we read it for. As Tenma enters the room and sees Yon, one of the beat up dudes says, "Monster."
And that dude is beaten. His eyes
Man,
swollen shut. He is destroyed.
Yeah. How do you feel about this?
Oh, I like this a lot.
You like this?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I was gonna say this whole reveal has maybe turned me around on the Johan split personality thing a little bit. And I think here's why. I think when that first was introduced, it was at the end of the Turkish Quarter section.
Yes.
And at that point, the comic was still pretty grounded, right? Like, there wasn't a whole lot. It was still very simple. We hadn't expanded out a ton yet. We didn't have any of the backstory. It was just kind of, there is this serial killer kid doing stuff. So split personality felt goofy. At this point, we have the Magnificent Steiner, who is a dude who turns into the Hulk when he's in danger.
Yeah.
And learning, he also came from there, right? He also has a split personality, right? I think I am much more willing, because of how now that I could, what can exist in the world has expanded to a point where that does not feel as goofy to me. That Johan has a split personality. And I'll get into it a little bit after we talk about next chapter and the chapter afterwards, but like, it raises some interesting questions about the mechanics of I've said mechanics so many times this episode, like 5 or 6, and I don't say it that often, and every time I say it now, I can feel the counter ticking up in my head. But the way that all of this works, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to think about, right? And like, my guess is that the manga isn't really going to be concerned about how all of this stuff works. Like, it doesn't. This is a thing where it's like, when this would be a conversation that if I saw it on Reddit, it would make me frustrated. But I also think it's like kind of a fun conversation to have a little bit. So when we get to next chapter, I will talk a little bit more about it. But I liked this reveal a lot. I liked them calling him a monster, right? In reminding us that Kinderheim 511 was a place designed to create monsters.
I think, here's my thing. On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, it's been explained to us many times. Johan is not a monster because of Kinderheim 511.
Right.
He was a monster when he got there. So I don't know if I really like taking this titular quality that has so far only been applied to one person and applying it to Grimmer. I just don't know. I don't know how much that holds water to me. It'll depend if we see like further evidence and stuff later. But it raises, if more than one person is a monster, because before the criteria for being a monster was to be Johan, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And now 2 people are textually monsters. And so now the question is, okay, monster is now a category. What is the criteria? What do Johan and Grimmer share? Would this person also call Roberto a monster? Does Kinderheim 511 define a monster? It's taken a term that was restricted and has opened it up in a way that I think makes it weaker to interpret, but that's probably getting too in the weeds.
Yeah, I would say it makes it messier. To me, I don't know if it makes it weaker, but it does, like you said, it makes me start thinking about like, what are the criteria, stuff like that. The other thing that it opens up from the other direction is like, Grimmer is a person that we think Grimmer is a good person, right? And if like he can become monstrous, does that mean that the monster that we know that we have been hunting, is there a good person inside of him, right? Like, so I think I would agree. It does make it messier, but I am on the side of this one. I like this. Thumbs up from Matt on the dude calling Grimmer a monster. So
thumbs medium.
Okay.
Win, I would say I'm willing to be convinced, for sure. I think that's what I've got. Yeah.
One of my favorite reveals just in fiction is there's more. Like whenever there's a program and someone has a number or something like that, and it's not 1. Like in Stranger Things did this, right? Where it's like she's 11, where it's like, well, what about 1 through 10? Were there more? I love it when there's sinister programs that have produced, X-Men does the same thing with Wolverine.
Yeah,
I love it when when there are dozens and we get to see them and how are they different and stuff like that. So I'm a fan of this trope. But that's it for me for 91. And I think for you as well.
For me as well.
Okay, so now we're on to 92, which is Memories of the Magnificent Steiner.
Is it memories or memoirs?
Memories.
Memories. For some reason, I wrote memoirs, which would
that's an interesting one as well.
Is it? Yeah.
Memories of the Magnificent Steiner. We open with a flashback of Herr Grimmer telling the story about the Magnificent Steiner again, this time to Tenma. He reveals that he doesn't know when the Magnificent Steiner started showing up for him, but he always does and defeats the bad guys. Grimmer then reveals that his memories of watching the Magnificent Steiner are his only childhood memories, as Kinderheim 511 took the rest of them. Tenma finishes applying first aid, and the two escape and watch the news from a hotel room. Grimmer tells Tenma some more of his backstory, memories of growing up in an artificial town with fake parents being trained to become a spy, with the hardest thing he had to learn being how to smile. They learn the hospital where everyone was taken, and Grimmer decides that they have to go so he can clear Sook's name. They find the hospital empty, and a nurse informs them that everyone was transferred out, and a man with gunshot wounds, Detective Sook, was never even at this hospital. Elsewhere, Nina walks down the street by Johann's apartment, and everyone recognizes and refers to her as Anna. She breaks into a panicked run and meets up with Dieter, confused by this turn of events.
Good chapter.
Very good.
It's a very good chapter. Where shall we begin?
Do you want to... Okay, so maybe this is where I talk about the thing from last time. So, from our sample size of 2, Detective Herr Grimmer and Johann, the thing that we know now about these Kinderheim 511 kids is that their superpowers or whatever are bonded to a work of fiction. For Grimmer, it's the Magnificent Steiner. For Johann, it's this monster story, right? And the nature of the story that they're bonded to determines their powers, right? Like, he turns into the Hulk, and the Nameless Monsters thing was he could just be other people, right? Like, eat them, absorb their memories, stuff like that, and that's what Johann does. Like, what is going on here? And this is the only thing that they remember from their childhood for each of them? And we're going to get to it later about how there is a mysterious person who wrote the monster story, right? Is this dude just writing cursed stories and then molding children around them? Is that, like, this is the most X-Men thing that has happened in this story yet.
I did not. How did I not make that connection? That's very interesting.
I love it. It's so goofy. It is...
I don't even... Man, that's so goofy that I'm almost reluctant to read it that way, but it's hard to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we never see any more people from Kinderheim 511, but it is very easy for me to imagine that, if this was a story that instead of being monster, if this was like something that took place in a run of Batman, we would have 15 more people who all have their story, right? And that is what determines that villain's power and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is a Western comics ass thing to do.
Well, I think it could also be a shonen, like a combat
You're right.
shonen.
Tournament arc shonen,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Very tournament arc. But it's
extremely Naruto, I think, from no knowledge of Naruto that I have.
Jeez. We'll have to see if that has any mileage to it.
I don't know, but from the goofy side, I like it. But then from the other thing that I like about it is they have this singular memory that grounds them and is like their mission and their defining identity, right? Like, even if it's not in that goofy kind of comicsy way, I think that it's like these works of fiction are the foundation of their like function as a spy or an elite or whatever. I think is cool.
Totally. I love the opening couple pages of this. I love it when Urasawa tries to draw in a Western way.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fun. You'll see it to incredible effect in Billy Bat. Love it in Billy Bat.
I'm very excited for when we read Billy Bat 4 years from now, or whenever we get to it.
Woo!
You've talked about it a lot, and it sounds like something I will enjoy.
It's so cool. Yeah, but it's fun. There's also it's just a quick note. the sound effects here are in English, or at least are in Western script for the Magnificent Steiner show. So there's something cool. And also, one of the people that Magnificent Steiner beats up is a racist caricature of an Asian man, which I think is fun. Urasawa he loves drawing these racist.
It's a little concerning, to be perfectly honest.
And then the title page is just gorgeous. Like the title drop of young Grimmer in front of the TV in shadow.
It's very Poltergeist. I think it's that frame from Poltergeist.
Yeah. Oh, good pull. You're totally right.
It's good.
It's awesome.
I like that he is smiling through all of this. There's a moment where Grimmer's smile very subtly changes to a frown. When he's asking Tenma to not let Suk die. I also like that all of this is happening while Tenma's doing doctor stuff again.
Yes.
And it's not really remarked upon, right? It was like their last encounter was him just having a crisis about him, I'm not a doctor anymore. But I mean, of course he still is.
Yeah, patching all these folks up.
Yeah. And we get the obligatory when everyone picks them up. Someone applied first aid expertly. These people are lucky that he showed up, right?
Yep. They're lucky Tenma's here. There is a news guy talking in Czech. He's just saying everyone was badly wounded. We took him to the hospital. The really important thing about this chapter is what Grimmer's saying about himself and about his time at Kinderheim. And he's telling us he can barely remember much, but he was learning to be a spy, and the hardest part was learning how to smile. And he gives you a big smile when he says that. And so, like, last time when we met Grimmer, I talked about how seeing when he smiles and when he doesn't is important to understanding the character, and that's what this is a reference to.
Yeah, it completely reframes. I mean, because, I would say his defining characteristic is how often he's smiling. So it's like, oh, man, poor dude. It just makes it something that's, like, almost tragic.
Yeah. And it makes him a little more unknowable, to the reader. Like, we don't really know when his smiles are real and when they're not.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I have any other important notes here. I mean, he talks about having fake parents living in a fake town, and the question that immediately brings up for me is, like, did this same thing happen with Johan and Nina? Right,
a fairy tale village, perhaps.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. Interesting. Is this woman who we're chasing after even his mother? I don't know. Interesting.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I think at this point we're pretty sure that she's their mother.
Yeah.
Most likely. Oh man. And then Nina's walking through. Everybody's saying hi, and then when she doesn't say hi back, they're like, "What? Why isn't Anna saying hi to us?" But of course it isn't Anna. It's Nina. And just imagine how scary that would be if you walked through some place you'd never been, and everyone knew your name, and they were like, "Hi, how are you today?"
Yeah. It's a good reveal. I mean, and this was, I think, the thing that we talked about last time, right? Where it's like, well, if this was Nina, Dieter would probably be here. And this, of course, this is the signal that's used to the reader to say, this is Nina. It's Dieter is here as well. I like that reveal at the end of the chapter. Big fan.
Yeah. Oh, minor fun Czech thing. When they talk to the receptionist, she says, "Christina, ty rozumiesz niemiecki, Jano?" Which is, Christina, you speak German, right? And the word for German there is niemiecki, which is, I looked it up, because I was just like, okay, so it's not Deutsch. Like, what's the root of this word for German? It comes from, it's basically like the word barbarian, which ultimately comes from the Romans saying barbar, which was them making fun of how people that didn't speak Latin spoke. So Niemiecki is kind of like dumb speak, you could say. It comes from a word that they used for people that couldn't speak Czech.
Cool.
And then that turns into the word for the country and the language, which I think is just an amusing thing to have codified into your language. It's just like, It's, you know, dumb country, dumb language.
I like that.
Guys. Yeah.
One other note that I had that I forgot was when after Grimmer has finished giving his backstory, he says, like, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. Like, Kinderheim 511 does not concern you. And Tenma, like, turns and looks at the camera and says, everything about Kinderheim 511 concerns me. And it's hard as hell. It's a good line.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's
so I made note of that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I just realized chapter 93, Memories of Hot Cocoa. We've got ourselves another little two-parter here. I wonder if because sometimes you don't really get two chapters published at once. That would be interesting if they were published at the same time, though, if they were. But either way, it's clearly a one-part and a two-part, right, whenever you have this connection between the titles. Grimmer and Tenma are picked up by a guy from the Czech secret police, and he takes them to the Bernard pub in Prague, wherein they speak to a previous big shot of the secret police called Colonel Karl Lonke, and he basically says, we are not the ones killing people. We have nothing to do with Johann. We just have a German friend who wants the tape and the report. We were the ones protecting and paying Petrov. We have Suk, he's coming to no harm. But we do want the tape and the report to get, if we're going to give you Suk back. Upon learning that Grimmer was at 511 Kinderheim, Colonel Lonke unfolds a picture and says that it is of his nephew, who went to 511 Kinderheim, and who he actually signed the papers to send his nephew there. Having been told that it was a wonderful facility. Grimmer remembers the nephew after a little while, and basically, in a way, performs a eulogy, just remembers this boy, which is how they is kind of a cultural thing that was done amongst the kids at 511 Kinderheim to keep them alive in a way. And that is the chapter.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's one of those endings that I think could be kind of cheesy. Right? I mean,
it's definitely cheesy, but man, what a tearjerker, though. Wow, man, it works. All of these things that Grimmer, because we've been told several times now that Grimmer doesn't remember shit, and he finally remembers, and it is, it's all of these like details that humanize this kid, and it's, he wanted to be an entomologist, he liked hot cocoa, he remembers his name, which is a really big deal, and it's so. The importance of memory in Monster.
I made a note of this, that it seems like this is going to be the cornerstone of the back half of this story is memory. Because we have Jan's mother is losing her memory in this same section.
How did I miss that?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, my God.
It's right there. But it's easy to miss as well. But yeah, I think this is a new theme that has been introduced, because I don't really think this was here before.
Yeah, like we kind of had like stuff about the past, and it's like that theme has been refined now into the theme of memory.
And now memory has also been attached to the theme of connections, which was something that we called out from the first half, right? Where it's like Johann was isolating people, destroying their connections. No one was there to remember them anymore. And so then they cease to exist, right? Yeah. And now it's like that is directly being attached to what was important to them at Kinderheim 511 was remembering each other. So it's, I think, good to plant the flag early on and be like, hey, we should be, anytime memory comes up from here to the end of the story, we should be thinking about it and thinking about what that means, what it's saying.
I do think that, like you said, memory is being now associated with connections, and I think we can also say perhaps with something as strong as family. I think memory and family, like family and connections in general, are being conflated here, I would say.
Yeah.
And remembering people is very, very, very important. The pub they go to is real.
When
That
you
is
called it
why
out by
I
name,
called it
I
out.
thought, yeah. Have you been there?
I have not, although I could have. But I saw the thing. I saw it in the book, and I was like, "This looks like a location scout drawing to me." I'm like, "I think this is a real place." So I looked it up, and actually, it is a local chain in Czechia. It is a chain of pubs that are specifically like they serve beer from the Bernard Brewery, which is in something like Humpelek, I think is what the town is called. Uh, and it was revitalized in the early '90s, so I expect that they had opened at least one Prague location by the time that Urasawa did his location scouting. But it was just really funny to Google it and have it come up. And you can actually, if you Google Bernard Pub, you can see that they have not changed the font. Um,
Oh, I love that.
you know, it's very clearly. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any pictures of the interior from the time frame, so I don't know if this is an accurate drawing of the interior, because it's obviously not accurate to how it is today. But it really tickled me to look it up and find out that it was real. Yeah. Is I can't believe that we have another fucking faction, right? Because I
Yeah.
don't think this is the faction that was torturing Grimmer. I'm pretty sure this is a different one.
You think it
Like,
is? This isn't the Czech
I
secret police guy? I mean, because this is the guy who was the head of the former Czech secret police.
I guess so. I guess so. It's just
I
that,
mean, and we learned earlier, you called it out, right? That like they became a crime syndicate. So it's like they probably have a couple different tendrils
I
doing
guess
doing
it
different
is.
things.
I guess it is. You would just think that Grimmer would mention something about being tortured.
Yeah, you're right.
Or he would be like, "Sorry for torturing you." You know,
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Like thinking about it, I probably am wrong. It probably is the same group.
Well, I think this lines up because wasn't the last guy the one who, because Lanka here goes on a long thing about, this is just business. I love money. Which was what Detective Zeman, right? I'm a capitalist.
That's true. Okay, that is true. That is true.
So I think these are the same guys. I do think it's interesting that they immediately are like, we've been horribly misunderstood by you and by the general public.
No. Hold on. Okay, so if that's who these guys are, who were the goons? Who were the goons trying to kill Grimmer and Grimmer?
Well, they weren't trying to kill Jan.
They just wanted
because
to
remember, Grimmer says they're not trying to kill him.
Trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then yeah, it is all the same group. Grimmer's just a professional, is all.
Yeah.
Very calm in the face of a guy who tortured him and his friend.
Shot his buddy 3 or 4 times. I have a note that there's a series of panels. It's right after Grimmer says that he came from Kinderheim 511. There's 3 panels of Tenma looking from Grimmer to Lanka. Hang on, It's on page 146 in the reading. And it's very quickly Tenma noticing like the momentary look of shock on this dude's face and realizing the connection. And
yeah, it's cool.
I liked it. Yeah, it's a very small moment, and there's not really a reason for me to call it out, but it stood out to me. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you're kind of hanging out with Tenma in that silence, and you're like, boo, 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 wonder what's going on. What's that guy? What's wrong with that guy? I don't know. Yeah, you can just see him thinking. You can see him being in a particular space. It's cool. And then Carl, saying, "I signed the papers to put my nephew in 511 Kinderheim." And
Oof.
yeah, he's in shade, and you can tell that he does not feel super great about it.
When he has the picture with him, I think is the other thing.
Yeah, he
right?
has the picture. It's super wrinkled, right? It's been folded and unfolded so many times.
He has shown this to so many people, so it's like it's good. I am a fan.
Oh, this is actually interesting. Looking at this, my younger sister married a German, but she and her husband were shot trying to cross the wall to defect to the West, leaving their son an orphan. So there is another point to call out, which is here's part of the dynamic of East and West, right? Here we're definitely seeing a lot more here that the Soviet regime, not pleasant for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like.
Okay, yeah. Do you have anything else for 93? I do not, so I'm ready to go into 94.
Let's do it. 94.
Okay, Door to a Nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
This one opens in color, and Nina has a flashback.
Cool color.
It's cool color. Nina has a flashback comprised of a bunch of different images. A young girl holding the Nameless Monster book, a wine glass shattering, a man telling someone not to hide things from someone else, a red door, roses, blood, a man reaching towards her, saying human beings can become anything, a man raising his glass in a toast, a woman, the monster, the sign of the three frogs. This is where they are now. Terrified, Nina and Dieter enter the building. Lanka shows up at Tenma in Grimmer's hotel and asks the two of them for the tape and the data again. Grimmer says he won't hand it over, and he'll destroy it all if Suk is killed. But he'll let Lanka listen to the tape. He thinks he should listen to the tape to understand what happened to his nephew. The two argue, and Tenma gets frustrated and reveals his theory that Johan is the one doing the killings so he can erase his past. He fills them in on the whole story, and then asks Lanka if he knew about Johan being taken from his family by the secret police, about 15 years earlier. Lanka admits that he doesn't, but he did know of a mysterious man who ran secret projects, arresting anyone with no oversight. He lived in a mansion called the Red Rose and had a name, probably fake, Franz Bonaparte. He wrote strange and terrifying children's books, including The Nameless Monster. Back at the Three Frogs, Nina and Dieter returned to the door from her memory, where she read a book, opened the door, and welcomed herself home.
Such a
good
chapter.
Stuff.
I have the most notes for this one.
Okay, then get started, because I only have 4. And, because it's like this one raises a lot of questions that I have. But it's not like, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about any of those questions yet, I think is the thing.
Well, we start out with color, and it's so cool. You got all this great blue and the pink and the light. It's just really, like, surreal in an awesome way. And this is also kind of unusual because even for Urasawa's color pages, it is normally the line work that still has point of pride, but here color is washed over the lines, and has much more to say and much more to do in your overall experience of the page than the line work does. So it's just a move that we don't see Urasawa use a lot, and is therefore worth calling out. The color theory on this page is very, very cool and very smart. Also, during this whole sequence, at the beginning, we have diagonal panels.
Scramble
Not only
panels.
are they diagonal, they are wiggly. The panel borders are wiggly.
Ooh.
So, that's new. Matt, do you have anything to say about this sequence?
I really like the sequence. It feels, and I had another sequence that I thought kind of felt a little bit lynchy, and maybe lynchy is the wrong word. It's more.
I don't think it's the wrong word at all. Now that you bring it up,
yeah, it was in Grimmer's recollection of what he does remember, right? Like staircases, ceilings, stuff like that. There's a shot that's repeated in Twin Peaks a lot. That's like up a set of stairs towards Laura's room with the fan, kind of running. And it might just be in the first episode. I think it's through the first season. Occasionally it will just cut back to that shot. It's very scary. And that's what like some of this made me think of. So I like you, I love the way this looks. Lots of stuff to dig into here. I want to know exactly what's going on in all of this. I'm very, very excited to learn more about, presumably this is the guy that Lanka talks about, who lived in the Red Rose and wrote these children's books. Yeah. So
there's just something super cool about this, because like when you read this, you're like, okay, here's all of the puzzle pieces, and now I just have to sit back and relax, and eventually Urasawa's going to show me where they go. And it's so exciting because each one of these puzzle pieces is really compelling. You must never hide things from him. That's creepy. Who's this guy? This door. That's a creepy door. Rose, someone running and getting,
cut by the roses, bleeding.
God, bleeding, oh man, that's an image. What's that all about? And God, the piece de resistance. Human beings can become anything.
That's such a scary thing to say. Oh my gosh.
But this is also, I think even now, we can already begin with what we know to get an idea of where that thing stands thematically. Monster, a lot of what Monster is about children and about childhood and about growth. Human beings can become anything.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that is what somebody affiliated with Kinderheim 511 would say. Right?
Yeah.
So that's... We know that this theme, like, has a sucker punch, like, waiting. And it's, you just... this sequence makes you want to, you're at the fucking, like, orchestra or whatever, and you sit in the splash zone.
Yeah. The splash zone at the orchestra?
At the orca.
The orca show.
Yeah, which don't cage orcas. It was just the first thing I could think of.
No, I mean that's a good
Yeah,
that's
right?
a good pull. I don't know why I thought you said orchestra. I was like, what are they emptying their spit valves on you?
It's a new kind of orchestra. The marvelous underwater orchestra. And the frogs say, "Hello, welcome back."
It's spooky seeing those frogs talk a little bit. I don't like it.
Yeah, it is, and I think it also hits harder in Japanese because of it's a terashai, isn't it? But they have a like in Japan, like they have a specific word they say when you come home. There's like an exchange.
Okay.
You're like tadaima, itarashai. I'm pretty sure it's that. I can't remember if that's like see you later or welcome back. Post in the comments if I'm an idiot. But it's because it is such like it is the thing your family says when you come home.
Oh, okay.
That, like seeing the frog say that, it's really hard.
Good.
So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. And Nina's got brown hair. What's up with this? Nina's got brown hair. Johan's blonde.
It was weird seeing Nina in color. I made a note of this. I was like, oh, that's something about this is wrong. Has Nina maybe dyed her hair brown? Is that a possibility?
Well, I mean, think about it though. Johan's hair has always been drawn without any internal screen tone, and Nina's hair always has been drawn with screen tone. So I guess she's been it's like
a light brunette, like a dirty blonde.
Brown, yeah. I guess it's been like that the whole time.
But I guess he was wearing. Well, I mean, they do refer to her as a beautiful blonde woman whenever Johan has been doing the murders.
Thing. So I guess we'll see what.
Technically, she's blonde.
Yeah.
I like all the shots of them traipsing through the mansion, looking scared. Once again, incredible fit from Nina.
Totally. Oh, real quick. They're also not in the mansion; they're in the apartment.
Oh yeah. I shouldn't call it the mansion because now there is a mansion.
Now there is a mansion. Also, just for fun, if you go to there is a sign. So there's the title page, right? Capital 94, Door to a Nightmare, and then on the next page, you get a close up of the sign, right? And if you look closely at that close up of the sign, you will see that the U of Utsujab has been pasted in somewhat inaccurately.
I'll take your word for it. I can't really tell, but I mean, I know you said it changed.
Just above the U is a little white line, and just to the right of the U is a little dark line.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's because it's not aligned properly.
Yeah. No,
they added it after the fact. Anyway, that just
seems very labor intensive. I do not know why they decided to do this. I mean, like, look, let me tell you what, listeners, when I make those title images,
tell us what.
It is usually very late at night when I am doing those, and the stuff that I am doing to finish them up is like I'm copying the panel a couple times. Sometimes I rotate it a little bit just so we fill up some of that dead space. It is. I cannot imagine being like, well, we've got to go through and make sure that I have changed every instance in this comic. It does not sound fun to me.
It must have been a lot of work. It's not something that happens unless it really has to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly surprised that they did. I don't know why they felt it was important enough for that. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, so they explore the apartment, and Nina says she's scared, and she says she remembers it. And so here we are, memory, and memory of being afraid of your own memory, afraid of your own past, in just this really strong way. It's really like rediscovering something, being afraid of what you'll discover. Super, super interesting to me.
Yeah. I have notes in their conversation. I like that. So Grimmer's main concern seems to be he is dedicated to making sure that this experiment can't be repeated. And he says it a couple times. And that was like his primary concern last time too, when he thought that Petrov was doing it again. It was that was the thing that was most terrifying to him. So that has been this guy's primary motivation the whole way through is good.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very consistent. I also think it's interesting that as Tenma, goes, enough, there's no time for this, and kind of
he takes charge.
Into them a little bit.
I like
he takes charge, but I think it's interesting because he doesn't make eye contact. He's looking down. He's looking away while he's doing this. It's barely like he's even taking charge. He's just frustrated. He's just so mad. And I think that's very interesting, right? Because I think what it reminds you of is the fact that Tenma's not an action hero. He's just a regular fucking guy who's maybe better suited to this than the average person, but he's just been through heinous shit, and he just wants it to be over. And he just wants to make sure nobody else dies. And so he's not like this big guy with his chest puffed out, making eye contact with you and going, give me, let's get this done. He's looking down at the table and he's so mad he can't even look at them in the eye. He's just fucking, guys, this has to happen. He's at the end of his rope,
Yeah.
It's not easy for him. That's what this says to me. It's not easy for him.
You saying that made me realize another one of the this is a different genre of story that gets pulled into Monster. It's Tenma's introduction at the beginning when we're doing medical manga.
Oh my god!
How did we miss that one? Yeah.
Oh man.
It's all over, and I think that might be what makes this story so good, right? Is it's all these normal people having to operate in this serial killer story.
That's so cool.
Or that's one of the best pieces of it, I think.
Man, I'm so glad we picked it up.
This feels like a discovery that we have made.
Oh yeah, big time. What an awesome structural
teamwork
pattern to have.
You'd love to see it.
Totally. There's actually another. I think there's when we see on the next page we see the sign again, and they forgot to fix this one. This one says Trijaba.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Look
so they
that.
didn't fix every single one.
You missed one, guys.
Yeah, missed one. Guys,
get on that.
Yeah, might want to reprint this.
It seems like localizing manga would be a horrible job. Just cannot imagine it's very fun.
Some fan localization before, just of some scan legions.
Have you really?
Yeah. It was for some it was over quarantine when I just needed something to do, and so we were like, hey, help us with phrasing and stuff, and so I just helped scanlate a little bit.
That's
and
pretty cool.
Fun. I like rephrasing stuff, and it was
one
fun.
time I translated a software manual from Spanish. That was
wow.
that was okay. It's not the same. There weren't pictures.
No. Yeah. And we learn about the guy who wrote scary, weird children's stories.
I gotta know what this freak was doing. I love a weird, spooky guy. I gotta know what this dude was doing. Can't wait.
And the revelation at the end, the thing that Nina remembers that she can't remember. I welcomed myself home. What a thing to find in your head. I welcomed myself. It's a scary image. Home. Yeah. And of course, we the readers at this point can go, well, that's probably Johan.
Yeah.
But it's still, you can still feel how impossible of a memory it is for Nina. How can she remember welcoming herself home?
It's good. I don't have anything more on 94, so that will bring us to our last chapter of this reading.
Last chapter, 95. Greatest fear.
Quinn, what's your greatest fear? Because this was mostly a setup so I could do my bit where I say my greatest fear is kidney stones. Because it is.
I took it so seriously. I was thinking so
I didn't mean
hard.
to throw you into a crisis for a second.
I don't know how to take anything casually. Fun Quinn fact, listeners. Everything is life or death to me.
Yeah, you can tell me your greatest fear if you want, but I said,
well, it's just I take it too literally, so then I have to compare every fear I have and do an internal tournament
ranking of fears.
Exactly. I don't. Yeah. you know,
That's not fun. We can get
how
back to
about
that later for
how
bonus
about
content.
abandonment?
Abandonment. Yeah, me too.
There
Actually,
we go.
that's a big
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
But no, the kidney stones. That was a bit that I one time
Yeah.
on a date, a girl asked me what my greatest fear was, and I said kidney stones, and I,
And then
she
you
did.
edited it into Final Fantasy VII.
Uh-huh. It was it's that's one of my favorites.
It's one of the best
Meteor
ones.
coming out soon at some
Oh
point.
yeah. Okay. Chapter 95, Greatest Fear. This nurse cannot keep her goddamn mouth shut
Whew.
and lets Johan as Nina visit Yansuk's mother. Grimmer and Tenma get to the hospital, learn that she had a visitor, run to the room. She kept the tape safe. Asterisk. And she tells them that her mind is very clear right now. She wants to see her son. Might not happen again. So she goes and she tells him a childhood story and asks God not to let her forget Jan, even as her mind goes. Later, Grimmer, Tenma, and Lanka listen to the tape and listen to the whole thing. We find out Johan's greatest fear is that he will forget Anna. Anna and I are alone in the world. Please let me keep just this one memory. And then, adult Johan's voice comes onto the tape. After listening to this tape, I finally know. I know where I must go. I finally figured it out, Dr. Tenma. Click.
What a cliffhanger. I've been waiting to I cannot wait to read what comes next. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't have a lot of notes for this chapter.
I don't either. I mean, Johan being creepy, Johan eyes on Nina face is creepy, which we get as he leaves the hospital room. Him not erasing the tape, but recording a new ending is like fantastic. Good. Because you think that, everything worked out okay. Like you said, the tape is safe. The tape is safe. Asterisk, right? It's
exactly.
Like it's the relief comes. You're like, oh, it's okay, and then nope, it's back. He's here. He's just as spooky as ever.
Yeah, well, it's like, the cool thing is that it happens in multiple layers. Like Johan gets there, and he talks to Sook's mom, and then we see a panel of the tape recorder, and we're like, oh fuck, Johan's gonna get the tape, and then the tape is still there, and we're like, oh great, awesome, he didn't get the tape, and then we listen to it, and we're like, oh fuck, it's it's just cool to have that double fake out happen.
Yeah. Here's a note that I did not expect to make. I kind of like this secret police guy.
Blanca? No, yeah, I don't hate him. Responsible for atrocities, no doubt.
Yeah. Him showing up in the hospital room, because basically when Grimmer and Tenma show up, they're like, wait in the car, we're gonna go talk to Jan's mom. And then, they're having a conversation with her, and she's basically like, I need to see my son. I need to see my son. And then he's there at the door. We will take you to see your son. I'm here to save the day. I was like, oh, this guy might be okay. Maybe, well, not okay, but I kind of like him a little bit.
He values family.
Yes.
He values family. It's hard to be mad about a family man.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's the whole premise of The Sopranos.
I was just thinking about The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he is oddly likable for being responsible for terrible things. And I think this chapter really cements that idea of family is remembrance. Let me remember my son.
Mm-hmm.
Let me remember Nina.
Well, her pleading with God to remember her son. I don't know. Religion gets invoked indirectly, right, as imagery about Johan, but I don't think we've had anyone talking to God yet so far. And it's
That's true.
It's powerful. It's, and yeah, like you said, it ties into the memory stuff that we were talking about, right? This is what she's praying for, and this is Johan's greatest fear, is that he will lose that connection. He will lose that memory.
Yeah, between Grimmer remembering Adolf Reinhardt and Nina remembering her brother. And so, we have four separate instances of people remembering things close to them. Remembering things from their past, remembering people from their past I don't think we've had it so densely packed in a single reading before, and so we can really see that this theme of memory and connectedness is hitting the ground absolutely running. This
Mhm.
is central.
I don't really have any other notes except for when Jan's mom shows up at the hospital, she recounts a story of how he broke his arm one time falling out of a tree, and well, she asks, why didn't you tell me you were hurt? And he says, well, I didn't want to make you worry, which I will say, not telling your mom things because you don't want to make her worry is Matt Fennell behavior. So we continue to see why I like Jan Suk.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so overall good, like it's a good reading. Probably a better read than a podcast, although we got some good pod out of it for
definitely.
sure. But I think maybe this reading, maybe more than the other ones, it gives me this feeling of like, man, if you're not reading it, I really wish you were reading it.
Yeah.
Like we can only do so much, you know? We are not a replacement for actually engaging with the thing. Yeah. Favorite Tenma moment?
It's him doing first aid to all the guys while Grimmer's giving his
Totally.
Backup or his backstory.
I think for me it's the thing that I called that we're
sternness.
Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like I said, frustration and a bit of desperation too. Totally. Okay. Favorite side character moment. We've got a lot to choose from. A lot of good stuff. Man.
This is tricky. Let me scroll through my notes.
It is hard.
Oh man, I don't know. This is tricky.
It's chock full. Okay, how about do we have a favorite Grimmer?
Favorite Grimmer moment. I liked when he slammed the door shut and pushed the desk up against his action sequence. Action man Grimmer.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Grimmer?
Yeah, that's cool. I think in the end that's all you've got.
Oh yeah. Gotta trust yourself. That's good.
Yeah, gotta trust yourself.
Yeah. And then I would say, I think for minor or unnamed, I do like that mob boss showing up to be like, we'll take you to see your son.
Totally.
Second place for that, I like the couple that's making out when Johan and Jan are on their date.
Yeah. Jan's mom. Yes, I knew. Yeah, that's that one really speaks to me. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's that. I think that's our segments. Unless
no, we gotta say who's rocking. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, in this case, it's gotta be the ex-secret police.
Yeah. Did we say the secret police last week?
I don't know if it was,
or was it orphanage directors?
My God, I don't remember.
It was spies. It was spies last week. So now specifically, we're at the
Colonel Karl Lanka, and
he's rocking.
It is ex-secret. That man is rocking. His sister and her husband died.
He put his nephew into an experimental orphanage that did atrocities.
This man.
He's
if
rocking.
Anyone is rocking, he's sure rocking.
It's him.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
You're right.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. All right. Matt, who are you? Where can people find you?
I'm Matt Fennell. You can find me at blarple.net, BLARPLE.net. This summer I'm going to start streaming again soon. Probably, maybe this week. I don't know.
Ooh.
But we talked about Meteor a little bit last week.
Matt.
Streamer Matt. I'll probably do some Mario Golf. I'll probably do some JRPGs.
I forgot about the Matt Fennell Golf.
Oh, mattfennell.golf. Yeah, that's a domain that I own. Mario Golf 64, one of my favorite games of all time. As a bit purely for myself at one point. I started during the pandemic, whenever I would see a spicy Instagram post from one of the women that I had a crush on, I would throw my phone into a corner and then stream Mario Golf.
It was your cornflakes.
Yeah, it was. It 100%.
That's
so
your phone into a corner.
you got to throw the phone. It feels very good to do it.
Follow her, Matt. Jesus,
I'm
Lord.
incapable of that.
Right, of course. I forgot. My apologies. Jesus.
So that's me. Quinn, where can the people find you?
Well, you can find me by going into the woods at night, and you'll actually see kind of a flickering light deeper in, and just keep following it. I'm there at kind of the end, and I actually have like a lot of really cool stuff. If you can find me in the woods, I will give you all of my cool stuff. Just keep following that light.
Yeah, now I will say it's important that you don't look at any of the stuff that you see happening in your peripheral vision when you're following that light.
Yes.
Otherwise, you will fall into darkness and never be recovered.
Indeed. But yeah. So aside from
Cursed journeys into the woods.
deep in the forest, you can find me on Twitter posting once every 6 months when I release a game.
Any percent's out now. Everyone go buy any percent. Review it.
So out, and I gotta order those. I gotta order those prints. I gotta order those print tests. Very excited about that. But yeah, my Twitter is at 200 proof games.
Whoop whoop.
And you can find my work directly at 200 proof. That's 200proof.itch.io. You can look at my currently defunct, but actually, maybe now that I'm living somewhere with a functioning microwave, maybe I'll actually start doing my soup reviews again. So follow me on TikTok for soup reviews and TTRPG content at authenticity.trip. I forgot that they let me have the whole thing because Twitter didn't. Twitter, I had to be authenticity TRP, but TikTok lets me have the whole thing. So at authenticity.trip.
You can find our Patreon at patreon.com.
The fucking Patreon.
Yeah, we gotta plug the Patreon.
Oh,
so you can find the Patreon at patreon.com/Urasawa Boys. You can follow us on Twitter at Urasawa Boys. The podcast is we have urasawaboys.com. If you go there, the most recent episodes are. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, rate, review it. Please tell a friend. I try to post about the new episodes when they come out.
Tell just one friend.
Yeah, tell one friend.
If you tell more than one friend, we will delete the podcast, and it will be your fault. We will know.
Yeah, if the numbers get too high, I'll freak out and delete the whole thing.
Exactly.
But no, post it in Discord if you think it's something that people would like. If you have someone who likes comics or likes range touch, or now I can't think of the other one, abnormal mapping, or like any of those other networks that do kind of media analysis, share this with them. We really, really appreciate it. Just getting feedback, having listeners at all. It's very fun. So
it's great. It's super great. Thanks for coming along with us.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if I had to like kind of put how I feel about the whole thing into words, it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be easy, but if I had to do it, twist my arm, gun to my head, I would probably say, well, first I would say, thank you for listening. And then I think after that, last but not least, thanks for being a friend.
Thanks for being a friend.